All right, so we're recording. Let me just fix this video. 1 second. Okay. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome again to Showcase. Today's showcase this is the first showcase for 2022. If you remember last month, we had Rachenka Doristel, who is a singer, an author, a student, and a businesswoman and a preacher. So today we have with us Miss Dr. Renee Renee Jones, and she is a mother. She is a very busy young lady. Uh, she hails from Philadelphia. Well, living
That's
in
just living right now.
living in Philadelphia, right? And
Hmm.
but she is from New York originally, and she's an adjunct physical therapist professor at Thomas Jefferson University. She is the vice co-chair for the National Association of Black Physical Therapists, the Pennsylvania chapter. She's also certified exercise expert for aging adults and a certified clinical instructor for the American Physical Therapy Association. She's very busy, as I said. She does a lot. And also, let me just start by saying this beautiful lady and a mother is, she has such a kind heart. When I met her, we met over the phone, and
Hmm.
she's just a very compassionate person. I've met her in person, and she is as beautiful inside as she is outside. And what I didn't know was that she was an amputee, and that hasn't stopped her from being energetic, from being productive, from being helpful. She is, you know, just a wonderful human being. And so tonight she will share her story. And the reason why I'm showcasing, Dr. Jones is that she did get her doctorate from Temple University. The reason why I'm showcasing her is that, I went to a symposium here in Brooklyn and found out that like more than 50% of not just adults, but youths as well, within our community, Black and Brown community, are becoming amputees. And, I've known of folks who became amputee and gave up, like literally gave up. They didn't want to live anymore. However, there is so much hope, and prosthetics are now, looking, I mean, it's easier to get around with. So tonight we're here to share her story and to discuss it. So welcome, Dr. Jones. Uh, you may tell the folks, you know who you are. Share some of your story with
Well,
us.
thank you for having me this evening. Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Renee Jones. I've been a physical therapist for the past almost 12 years. And I've been an amputee since the age of 3, and I am 40 something years old.
You don't look it, girl.
Almost the other side of 45. So, um, uh, the journey the of being an amputee wasn't always the easiest, but I have grown to accept it and to just to welcome the challenge that it poses from day to day.
Mm. So, what kind of challenges do you face?
Right now, as an adult, it's primarily pain, sometimes fatigue. So let me backtrack a little bit. From the age from 3 to 22, I was a below the knee amputee, meaning that I was missing part of my leg, my left leg from, it was primarily missing above my ankle and down. So I really didn't have a foot, basically. Then I got into a car accident when I was 22, broke that same leg above and below that my knee. So the original doctor that did the initial amputation suggested that that would be amputated higher. So then that's what we did. So the energy expenditure of an above the knee amputee is greater than a below the knee because there are more mechanical joints. The ankle now, as in above the knee, is the ankle and the knee. Okay. So I now have to use more energy to make those function, as opposed to when I was below the knee, it was really just the ankle. Everything else was mine. So that's primarily right now is a challenge. It's just the fatigue and actually weight gain, because my prosthetic leg, the actual socket is what it's called, that my leg goes into, comes up so high. If I gain weight, it won't fit properly. If I lose a little too much weight, it does not fit properly. So those are some of the challenges that I deal with right now.
So as it stands, if you maintain your weight, then do you still have to do, is there maintenance on the prosthetic?
Oh, definitely. So I have what they call a microprocessor knee. I have to charge it. And it goes off to, I would say Germany, maybe once a year for any updates and things like that. So I often have to have it sent out for them to do the updates, or I often, maybe once every 3 months or something, might have to go in to the prosthetist office so that they can tweak whatever it is that needs to be done. Whether it be, they might need to, what they call like a skim coat the inside of the socket, because I've lost some weight. So to try to, take up some of the space. Or sometimes I need to have a new prosthetic, a new socket altogether made. It varies depending upon what's going on at that time.
Right. So when you send it out for the knee, how to get the knee checked, and it has to go, is there a replacement? What do you do at that time?
They normally give me a loaner. So I normally have the loaner for however long they plan on having my prosthetic, my microprocessor knee. I have a loaner for that particular time.
Okay. I never thought about all. It takes a lot, doesn't it? As you said.
It does. Because, prosthetics has come so far. I can remember being a child and having the below the knee, and, they would try to make it, as cosmetically pleasing as possible, but, nothing ever looks like your actual limb. And being, so melanated, they could never match up the colors correctly. So it was always things of that were an issue. But then when I became an above the knee amputee, I feel like that kind of happened around the time of when right before when a lot of vets were coming back from war, and they were coming back as amputees. So then being an amputee wasn't such a, I don't want to say bad thing, but it was just more common.
It became
so then all these other things, all these other cosmetic covers came out, and all these different microprocessor knees and different types of feet, and all these things just came out to really to our benefit, because everyone else that besides myself that I know, and you would think I know a whole lot of amputees, and I honestly do not, but the ones that I do know, they're not sitting at home sulking. Yeah. Although I have met some I've met some in my own practice. I've had, because I'm currently a home care physical therapist, And I have actually had some of my colleagues ask if I could go in and see a particular patient because they've just recently had an amputation, whether it be male or female. And, I'll answer whatever questions there are for them. And, they kind of move on because they think that life ends after that. And life is just different. It doesn't end. It's just different.
Right. So, and that's what I was trying to allude to when I said, having known of folks that just thought, oh, it's the end,
Yeah.
and basically given up. But, there's hope. And so a question I wanted to ask you was, how was it then running after your kids when they were in the toddler age, like age, the age when they want to run away from you?
Mm-hmm. To be honest with you, especially with my oldest, because it's uncharted territory, had never been a mom before. So I kind of did not allow he and I to be in situations where I would have to run after him for that, because can I run? I'm sure I can. A little trot, I don't know what we call it, but I would just put myself in situations in which we would not have to do that, or would always make sure that someone was with me. Then with my, because I have two boys, with the youngest boy, there were times that he did run off. And if he heard my mouth, he knew that there was, that there was trouble. So there were times that he ran off, and you know what? I think of one time in particular, we were in the supermarket and he just thought it was a game and wanted to just run up and down the aisles and run away from me. And it just so happened a man was standing at the end of the aisle and blocked him and would not let him move until I got up there and got him. So things like that have that have happened. So stuff happens.
There's always divine intervention, and we're grateful for that. We're grateful for that. Yes. So in your work, when you have clients that how do they receive you? Or do your clients know that you are an amputee? And if they do, how do they receive you as their therapist, their physical
So
therapist?
most of the time, I don't know that they know right off. Majority of the time, I find that people are more concerned about themselves, and they might notice the second or third visit. If anybody notices the first visit, it's normally a family member, because my patient knows that I am there for them. So I'm not focused on me. I'm there doing my evaluation, checking to see what it is that I need to see. It's normally the family members watching me do my job that then they will come and ask. Have I always been received positively? No. But more often than not, I would say out of 10 times, I might have had it, somebody say something to me maybe twice that, and it's never been anything. I can think of one time that it was, very derogatory, but it's been a thing of, well, how can you now come and help my loved one when you're faced with this?
Wow. And
then my response to them is, who better than to help them? Because now I have an understanding of regardless of what it is, I don't treat many amputees on a regular basis.
Right.
Within a year, I might have maybe 1 to 2 on my caseload.
Right. Thank God.
In home care, if I was in acute care or something like that, I would see them more often. But in the setting in which I treat, I don't see them that often. But I can still, I've been through a lot. I've had several surgeries as a child, had multiple surgeries again as an adult. So I know what it's like to come home and not be able to do the things that you are accustomed doing, not wanting to rely on someone or family members or whomever, and just wanting to get back to the function that you had prior. Regardless, that's the same across the board. Yeah. So once I explain that to them, normally that eases everybody. And then I go and I do my job. But there have been times that I've had to prove that I know what I'm doing. And that's okay.
It happens. It happens in all
Right.
fields. It happens.
And all right. And it's okay.
Yeah, it really does. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's to see that, what advice would you give to those who are facing, or, who newly amputees, have recent amputations. What advice would you give to them in terms of, or someone who has been told that has to be done?
Oh, advice. First and foremost, do not give up. And I would not even sugarcoat anything for them. It is not easy. It's not easy. If you go in thinking that this is going to be a breeze, it is not. But I don't think anything worth it is ever easy. You know what I mean? Things just don't, just kind of come and just sit in your lap, and it's all right. There's going to have to be some work that you are going to put forth. There are going to be times where you are in pain. There are going to be times where you are, you're going to be tearful, you're going to be down. But it's the thing for me. What I tell my patients is, it's about, you're allowed to have those feelings. You're allowed to be upset. You're allowed to be remorseful. You even are allowed to grieve the loss of your limb.
Right.
That's the important part. You grieve that. That's okay, because it's something that you lost. And I think that that's fine. But it's just the fact of you staying in it. It's when you stay in the those down moments that it becomes a problem. And then it hinders the progression, the progress.
Right. Yeah, yeah. It most definitely, I have always found that honesty will
Mm-hmm.
always help. It's
Mm-hmm.
best to be honest about how you feel, what you're going through, when you're going through something. Because I remembered when I was in the hospital, and I couldn't walk, and
Mm-hmm.
I had my own, wait, will I ever walk again?
Right.
Moment. I was just like, whoa. And it just so happened that the doctor who tended to me, one of the doctors, my kids will tell you, he said he was in a wheelchair for a year. And he said he had, all kinds of thoughts going through his head. Of course, he had an illness. And once he, got better, he was still in the wheelchair, and he
Mm-hmm.
was wondering how he could resume his practice and how could he deal with his patients. And
Mm-hmm.
he just said he had all kinds of questions in his head as well.
Mm-hmm.
And something that he had taught me, it's like your body knows, and your
Okay.
body will talk to you
Mm-hmm.
and let you know when you're ready.
Yeah.
And it was
Mm-hmm.
like, that was so freeing, and it really did. And
Yeah.
my therapist as well, she went through a lot. She was very kind. And, I had an ostomy at the time. And so on days when I was in severe pain, she would say, because I was in for a month in the hospital on my back. And
Mm-hmm.
so I had blood clots. And so they didn't want any more to be formed. But she gave exercises that I could still do, and, not aggravate that situation even
Right.
further.
Right.
So I like what you say about being truthful about how, they're feeling. And have you heard of anyone, I don't know, did you experience like what they call phantom?
Yes, and I still have phantom pain to this day, and I've been an amputee, like I said, since the age of 3. Sometimes, I don't know. Recently, I think it's because, like, maybe I might sit a way, and then it might cause some referred pain to go down my residual limb. Um, I feel like if I am coming down with the flu or anything of that nature, I will get a lot of phantom pain, but I still have it, not to the degree in which I did when I first, because I don't remember really when I was 3, but when I was 22 and had that amputation, not to that degree. But phantom pain is a very, very real thing. nerve pain. And that's what I try to explain to my patients when they're upset about nerve pain. And they're like, I'm not sleeping. And I'm like, oh, I completely understand about the nerve pain because it feels like electric shocks are going through you. And then with the phantom, you kind of feel like, oh, I can still wiggle my toes. Or for me, I still feel like I can extend my, my leg, and the leg's not big. So that's something else that I educate my patients on, especially in the wee hours of the night, you're used to getting up and going to the bathroom, and they get up and sit on the side of the bed. I'm like, well, make sure that you're up, because you have to remember your leg is no longer there. So I don't need you guys falling on the floor.
Falling off, right.
Yeah.
Especially if they're like double amputee, right?
That would be
more problematic.
Yeah,
wow.
Very much more problematic.
Yeah.
Because like for me, like I say, I've spoken to other amputees, and they, I have to also disclose to them, I've been an amputee since the age of 3. So amputee life is really all that I know. Where someone else that, because of diabetes or peripheral vascular disease, which are very prominent in our community, they people tend to become amputees later on. I really don't have anything to compare it to where they do. I had this was a couple years ago, I had a nurse that I worked with had me to go see a female patient of hers. And she said, Renee, she's an amputee, new amputee. She just needs somebody to talk to. So I went and saw her one day. And the thing that she wanted to know the most, she was just like, I don't know. She said, what did she ask me? She said, do you think I'll ever date or find a husband?
Well,
I kind of chuckled at her, not because of the question, because one, I've also had the same thoughts, but I had to tell her. Was just like, that's really not an issue. I was like, it's not going to be. I was like, I'm married and I have 2 kids. You'll be fine. But It's just the reality of what people are concerned about. They're concerned about their, what are they going to wear? Or what are people going to say? And I'm like, well, growing up, no one made fun of you about anything? And she said, yeah. And I said, well, it's the same difference. People will always find something to get at you about. Just that for me, being an amputee, it was very easy compared to, maybe someone else.
Yeah. And we live in a society that, ageism and the aesthetics of who, how you look, that's what many people judge others on. So that being part of it would be a concern then.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. Even for me, I feel like professionally, being a physical therapist, and there are not a lot of Black physical therapists.
True.
And then I'm a woman on top of that. And I, have a disability. I'm basically a unicorn when it comes to that. Not a whole bunch of people like me.
Not too many like you.
No, not at all. So, it's okay to, and I just got that revelation recently. It just really makes me special. So, which is fine.
Anyway. And you do an excellent job at what you do, and that's what's important. So, yeah, that's a good thing. And so I was just thinking, with kids, okay, so it happened when you were a kid. So do you think it's more difficult for kids or for adults? What do you think? Is there like a kind of level?
I don't know. I feel like for me, in the household in which I grew up in, I was not treated any different than my cousins, than my siblings. So I think that's what made me who I am right now. Because it was never like, oh, well, it's Renee. Maybe I wanted that, honestly, at some time. But no, I really think it's who's in your village. I think it's your community is what makes it either easier or hard. If you're coddled all the time and then you're kind of thrown out there to society, it's not going to be the most pleasant experience for you. if you have a community or a village that is supportive, yet does not always coddle you, gives, treat you like everyone else, when you get out there in society, you will you'll flourish. So I think that's what it was. I think that's what it was for me. I was raised in a household where I was not treated. I got in trouble just like everybody else. I played double dutch. I was roller skating. I rode a bike. I did everything like everybody else did. There were adaptations that had to be made, but I still did it. And that's what I would tell anybody. That's what I even now still tell my patients. And a lot of my the population in which I treat, they're seniors. So I tell them, okay, there are particular things that you want to do. You cannot do them in the same fashion in which you were doing them maybe 2 years ago, a year ago, 6 months ago, but you can still do them. We have to just make adaptations so that you can still function how you want to function.
Right. And you do drive. So how's that?
Truck. Well, because of the fact that it is not, I don't drive manual because then that will require me to use my left leg. So I do drive an automatic. I still, I'm a left above the knee amputee. So I just kind of sit my leg right there and just drive. So I still do everything. Although being now an above the knee amputee, skating and riding a bike and things like that are a little different because, like I said, I don't have my knee. It's the mechanical, the microprocessor knee.
Right.
But the nice thing is I have an app on my phone. So when I want to get on a bike, I just hit the app and hit the bike function and it frees up the need for the bike. And when I want to roller skate, I hit the roller skate button and it only allows my knee to flex and extend within a certain range so that I can roller skate. And then I have a walking range.
Oh,
so that's all the nice stuff that happens now with technology.
So is there like a certain distance that you can walk in a day, like an allowable? Or...
I don't know if it's a distance. It's battery life for because I have to charge the leg every night. So as long as it's up to 100%, I can charge it. I have a little car charger that say I'm just out and about or I forgot to charge it. I was tired and didn't plug it in. I can charge it in the car.
Okay. Wow. That is very interesting to know. But the thing that I love about you, Renee, is that you're very active.
I don't sit down.
You're very active. And, as I said to you guys before, I really didn't know that she was an amputee. I didn't, because Renee is always up and about and always very pleasant to me. This is who I see you
I have my moments. I will be honest. I have my moments. I do. I have my moments. However, to be honest with you, I think I am as active as I am because I've always had this thing where I feel like I've had to prove myself. So I think I just do because people automatically thought I could not do. And now I'm kind of wishing, now that I'm a little older, I'm kind of wishing I had not been like that, because sometimes I wish I was coming through. And, they're just like, oh, that's Renee, she got it because she's used to doing it. And, now I'm just like, no, I would like, I'd like some help.
Yeah. Help, please.
Yeah, thank you.
You know what it is, though? It's that syndrome that when anyone knows that you're capable of doing something, they always assume. This is why people who are strong, when they need help, there's nobody, this is always the thing.
It's very true. There was a post that somebody had posted of a conversation this woman was having with someone, and she said, I am tired of being don't call me the strong Black woman, because she said when someone is strong, you don't help them. And that resonated with me because, oh, Renee, you've been through a lot and, you're so strong. But I'm like, but I still need help sometimes too.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, you'll bounce back. And,
right.
That thing. You
Got
know,
it. And it's
I
like, I don't always
listen.
have it.
I learned that when I was teaching, that once
Mhm,
someone knows that you're capable of something, and
mhm.
any aspect of your life, whether it's your
True,
home life, your professional life, whatever
true.
folks realize you're capable of, they'll just let you be the one to do till you burn yourself
Mhm.
out. And I
Yep.
mean, we're human, so
Yeah. Yeah.
there has to be some pause, and we all,
Mhm.
no man is an island, and we
No,
all need
they're
help.
not.
No, the
Mm-mm.
strongest person need help. And I
Right.
always say behind every successful person is a whole community. Not,
Right.
people
Mhm.
always say behind every successful man is his wife, or,
Right.
woman,
Mhm.
but it really is a community. It takes a community, and, and,
It
and,
does.
and God. So,
It does. It does.
yes, but it's to see you, and, I'm glad for your honesty, and, in explaining, you know, um, what one can look forward to, or, just being honest in there. And you find sometimes that folks aren't honest with their physicians or their therapists, or and I
Mhm.
find you can never ever get help. And I say this even for those who are
Gotta be honest.
Christians, even with God. He moves in our
Mhm.
lives
Mhm.
when we're honest
We
with
were honest.
ourselves.
That's true.
So I think it's that if we do not know how to be honest with ourselves, then we can't be honest with
Mhm.
anyone else. But for real, the thing about it is that one should be honest with their physician. Just like if someone needs a lawyer, that
Mhm.
lawyer cannot help you
If
unless
you
you're
don't tell
honest.
everything.
When they know everything, then they can know what to do. Your doctor, your therapist, whoever you're dealing with.
Right.
And, I think even in personal relationships, they go a lot better if folks are just honest with each other.
Just honest. Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah. Just gotta
it
be
does.
honest. Yeah. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
does go a long way. So how your kids treat you? Do they treat you as just a regular mom, or just like, oh, oh, okay, let me take it easy on her, or they're
Um.
just like, listen, your mom.
You know what? I don't know. I feel like they treat me as regular mom. I don't have anything to compare it to. I know each one of them because my boys are 8 years apart. Each one of them at around like maybe 3, 4, kind of was like, "What's wrong with your leg? What is that?" You know what I mean? That type
Mhm,
thing.
mhm,
And then you explain things age appropriately, and then they might continue to have conversations, or you might continue to have conversations with them. Um, I don't know that my kids, I take them wherever I go to their school. I've never gotten a inkling or a feeling like they're embarrassed by me or anything like that. No. Mm-mm. That at least that I've paid attention to. But for me, I'm probably running around doing something and may not even pick up on it. So, but honestly, I haven't
mhm.
seen that.
I don't think so. I think because they love mommy. You know how it
Yeah,
is? When you
yeah,
love someone, you
yeah,
accept them for who they are, no matter what,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and, to go back to when you were talking about losing independence, and I realized, as you said, you deal with an older population, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And giving therapy. I'm talking about regular, they could have all their body parts, you know, but I usually find that I found, I grew up in Jamaica, West Indies, and I was around older folks that like in their 90s, even hundreds. I remember having relatives in their hundreds, and they were active.
Hmm.
They would
Hmm.
like, here I find things to be a little different. And one thing that I've noticed, my mom worked in a nursing home, and
Hmm.
that with adults that had lost, their that they have to rely on someone,
Hmm.
it takes away, like it takes away from who they are.
It does. It does. I am a firm believer, and I tell any of my caregivers, um, as long as they are able to do what they need to do and they're safe doing it, allow them to do. Because
Mm,
I've seen over the years, I think my oldest patient I had was 104.
Mm.
And he literally, the family just, whatever the family dynamic was, they put him in a nursing home. I have been treating him on and off for, I think, 2 or 3 years. They put him in a nursing home. He didn't even last a week because he was
Wow.
used to his routine. He was used to getting up. He had an aide. He had support, but there were particular things he was used to doing for himself. And I am a firm believer that that's where a lot of our decline comes into play, when someone is taking, when some of our independence goes. I don't care if you are not walking, if you can wash your face, allow that individual to wash their own face. If they can brush their teeth, allow them to do so. Because you don't, what is it that they say, once a man, twice a child? But
Yes.
if we can slow that second childhood down, we should definitely do so. And you will be surprised the amount of activity that this older population can withstand. They can actually do a whole lot. And that's where I think a lot of their longevity comes into play, is because they're not sitting down. The grandparents of yesteryear are no longer, they're not sitting around in house coats and stuff like that.
No.
They're out and about. We had a woman on our block, same last name as mine, and I don't care what the weather was, this woman was out sweeping her yard. She would move snow. And she was, I want to say, when she finally passed, she was like maybe 96, 97 or something like that. But I think that is what kept her going, was the fact that she just moved every day. And that's what I try to encourage, not even just my senior patients, just anybody. You have to move.
Yeah.
You have to move.
Yeah, because movement is essential.
It is.
I remember when I migrated here, and my mom, some of her coworkers that had retired, and because when they retired, they weren't part of any communities. And so one of her other coworkers had started a club, that's not just the retirees, but others would attend, and they would do, many activities, including, having scholarships for youth, and, just different activities for the community, and that kept, the ones who retired going, because there were others that, because they had no one, they passed, like they would have, and folks would be like, wait, what was wrong? That loneliness.
They just didn't have anything to do.
Inactivity, yes.
Right.
So we're made to. So as I said before, this is one of the reasons why, I wanted to make sure. I have a neighbor on my block, a young man, relatively young man. I think he's in his 30s. And he recently had an amputation, and I'd noticed one of his other leg. He said that his mom had recently passed. So since then, I haven't seen him. But he had told me that his family has a history of poor circulation.
Peripheral vascular disease.
Okay. And so I didn't know, I hadn't seen his mom for years, but she had amputations. And so, but after that, it's like she never went outside unless she had to go to the doctor. And so, he was in a wheelchair. And so I'd asked him about, was he going to get a prosthetic leg? And he did. But when I saw him, he wasn't using it. He was still in the chair, and, as we spoke, I could see the sadness. He was no longer how he was before. And I was encouraging him, like, that he should use it. And he said, yeah, he was going to use it, but I don't know where he is. I pray for him, but I haven't seen him in a little while. I hope he's well.
That is very uncommon. I've seen that within my practice, where a lot of, the movement also does not just help you physically, it helps you mentally as well. So I've seen a lot of people that they went, the insurance paid, because these prosthetics are not cheap. You know what I mean? Especially when the needs and on the microprocessors are anywhere $60,000 on up, depending on
Wow.
which one you have. They go have these things done and then they're not using them because it takes work. Not even just the work, there has to be some motivation. Like you have to be working towards something. It has to be, and if they're, if they're not getting out and doing anything, then what's the sense of putting the leg on? When I can just get around within my little circle, whatever, my apartment, my room, the house, whatever it is. And, that's my little world. And I can function within that little world on my crutches or with the wheelchair. What's the point in putting a leg on? So that's why I tend to encourage everybody. And even my patients that have 2 sound limbs, just get out. You need to get out, fresh air, get out.
That fresh air is important. I remember during COVID when, they were like, you have to shelter in place and, I'm always have my windows cracked, but listen, there's nothing. We'd get in the car, we'd go to the park or drive somewhere that is not crowded, and even to the beach. And
you
when
have to get out.
Yeah, because
you need the sunshine on your face.
We need the vitamin D, we need the fresh air, we were made to be mobile. We were created to be mobile. So, I'm glad that you're here, that you've also touched on cost. So as you said before, what does it range? What's the range? I know you said up to 60 and above. Is that where it starts? Or
well, it also depends upon the type of prosthetic. So if how can I put this? So the more joints, okay, because you can have an amputation up into your hip, so a hip disarticulation is what they call it. Those tend to be more expensive. Mine is, I want to say mine is either 60 or 80. Mine runs in between 60 and 80,000 because of the type of knee that I have.
Right.
And the type of I think the foot that they have on the prosthetic. So that's how much mine runs. I think my socket, if I remember the bill correctly, the socket itself, and that's just where my leg is placed inside of the prosthetic. I think that was like $5,000 or $6,000 alone. So it really depends. If I remember correctly, the below the knee prosthetics are less money, because really the only joint component that you're dealing with is really the ankle and the foot.
Right.
Where with knee, you're dealing with, unless you have a knee that, because you don't have to have a microprocessing knee. You can have a hydraulic or there's third knee.
So the hydraulic, is that like just ball and joints where it just?
So that one is more of a like a piston type thing with air that causes the knee to move how it moves, because your knee flexes and it extends.
Right. Yeah.
So with the microprocessing knee, it will flex and extend according to how much pressure I put on the foot.
Okay.
So like right with this knee, I can go down the stairs with reciprocal gait. So like how, just to make it plain, how a normal person will go down the steps, step over step. However, up, I have to go up like a baby would, one step at a time. Depending upon the rise of the step. If the step is a normal rise, which is anywhere from 7 to 8 inches, I think, I will go up one step at a time. If the rise is under that, I can pick that leg up and then still do the reciprocal gait going up. Maybe not the entire flight of steps, but I can do at least a good 3, 4, maybe.
Okay. And now we see athletes, we see runners. So it's a lot different than way, like, say 40 years ago.
Way different.
30 years ago. It's come a long way. And so, it's really, unfortunately, things happen in life. but if
Right.
one has to have, are there certain, not to recommend a company over another, but how do people go about? Is it the insurance company that selects, or do they, you know how you look for a doctor within a
Hmm.
network? Is that
Hmm.
how it works
So
in
how
terms
it
of
works is,
selecting?
after you have the amputation, whatever it is, you will see a physiatrist, a doctor of rehab medicine, or an orthopedist. They will refer you, or sometimes it's even a vascular doctor. It depends upon the reasoning of the amputation. But majority of the time, it's a physiatrist. So the physiatrist will send you to a P&O guy, what we call them, a prosthetics and orthotics doctor or tech. They will then cast you. They will also know like what your function is. So for me, I am a high functioning amputee, where there are people that are not high, not as, they don't do what I do in terms of function. I work, I'm just all over the place, where there are some people that they
Yeah.
just really need
You're
their
very active.
prosthetic just to go to the doctor and maybe walk around the house. They don't really use it for anything else. So then from there, then they will know in terms of the insurance, what the insurance is going to pay for you to have. Okay, it really depends upon your function and what you're going to do. And also, to be honest with you, it depends upon the insurance that you have. Like for myself, I have a particular insurance. They now have a microprocessing need, which they call military grade. I could get in the pool with it. So like the one that I have right now, I can splash water on it, but it cannot be immersed in water. The one that I want can be immersed in water. It can get muddy because it's military grade. My insurance will not allow me to have that. If I had another insurance, they would. But my insurance will not pay for it.
Okay. And of course, that's very costly. No
Oh,
doubt,
yeah.
because that's top of the
Yeah.
line.
Very costly.
Right. So, yeah. So, so there you have it, folks. In talking about this, and overall, we just want to have a healthier society and a very mobile society. And it doesn't matter what happens in life, as I said, when I went to the symposium, I was just, as they unfolded the statistics within our communities of Black and Brown people, I was like, no way. Like, and so, it's been also a fight in that many within that community is still complaining. There are folks who can't get their medication that are diabetic, and as you said, having vascular, what was that again?
Peripheral vascular disease or arterial disease.
Yeah, the peripheral vascular disease, so to be afflicted in any way, my grandmother always says an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure, because it is not easy. There are folks, there are times you go into pharmacies and you see elderly folks or folks who just don't have it walking back out or telling the pharmacist, I can't. I just, can't, when they really need it, So it's like a catch-22, and we just pray and hope that the elected officials will fight more for the communities that they represent, so that the folks can, who need it, can have what they need.
Also, with it, not even just our elected officials are definitely important, but I would also call on the professionals within our healthcare professionals within our community to really advocate for one another. Even for myself, being the vice co-chair of the National Association of Black Physical Therapists, the Pennsylvania chapter, and actually working in some of their community service, community service activities. We are currently trying to work with a couple of nutritionists to talk to people that look like us because of the health disparities that we deal with within our community that could easily be changed by nutrition.
True.
Easily changed by nutrition. And well, let me not say easily. That can be changed by nutrition, because it's not always easily, because some of us live in, in an area where we might have that one little market that does not have, the things that we need that are healthier. So I would really call upon our healthcare professionals to really just start, educating your neighbor. It starts there. Just start educating your neighbor. Start advocating for your neighbor. Start advocating for grandmom or, your great aunt or whomever else. So it's, I would choose to, or would like to think that we can handle stuff in-house.
Yeah. Okay. So I really like that. Can I say that I've had neighbors in my building that they will order like fresh produce, and this is something that even some of the groups that I'm with, that we collaborate and get fresh produce, to be handed out to some of our neighborhoods, because it is essential. There are food deserts, and even worse, in many neighborhoods, there are certain stores and bodegas, and there's a lot of greasy foods, but there are no fresh produce. There's not a lot of vegetables, not a lot of fruits, not a lot of fresh meats even. I remembered someone asked me to get something, and I walked into a store in the person's neighborhood, and I had to go back outside. The stench, I was like, wait, is there some dead animal? Wait. So I was still trying to go to see, to the aisle, to find the aisle where the product was. And I happened to come across the aisle with the meats, the refrigerator with Dr. Jones.
I'm not surprised.
I was like, wait. I even asked one of the cashiers on the way out. I was like, wait, they selling that meat? She didn't answer me. She just looked at me. But I was like, wait, I think they, and I didn't report it, but I was like, in hindsight, no. I'm thinking maybe, because you have to do better. Don't tell me you wouldn't give that to a dog. You know what I'm saying? How are you selling this to people?
Exactly.
So there in certain neighborhoods, it's not, no. So as you said, though, we need, in order for our health to be healthy, now we have a pandemic, we have different variants, we have all manner of things going on. So it's best to have have our bodies healthy, and movement plays a part. Eating good food and getting rest.
Yes.
I think,
Very
we need
important.
all of that. So, but thank you so very much for
Thank you.
And I just want to say to those in the medical field, and if you're watching or you're not watching now, when you share this, for those who are nurses and doctors, or, in the healthcare field in any way, shape, or form, whether, you're an aide, you're a therapist, please, as Dr. Jones said, please advocate. I mean, too many times we see things that are necessary and we don't do anything. I remember there was a little girl, a young girl, I don't remember her age, but she became a millionaire during 2020. Why? She saw the need for masks and started to make them. And first she distributed and then started selling. And collaborated, joined up, partnered, and became a millionaire. I'm just saying that, well, she was of a different persuasion, but I'm saying we can do the same things, but many times we feel that we cannot, or we're held back, but we just need to take that one step. what it says, the journey of a mile begins with just that one step. Is that how it is? But
Something,
what's that quote? It's a quote.
right.
It's similar. The thing is, in order for us to get things changed, then we need to start somewhere. And we can, as you say, begin in house. And, so we need to start eating better, eating healthier. And it doesn't mean, a lot of times we think of things as, oh, like I want to lose 20 pounds and I want to lose 20 pounds now. I want to eat healthy. And so I'm going to throw everything out the house. No. You can start by substituting one thing.
Just do one thing.
One thing.
And for me, I normally tell my patients to start, so that they are successful, start with whatever the easiest thing is, whatever the thing, whatever that is. Start with that one thing so that you see some success. I wouldn't start with necessarily the hardest. Start with the easiest thing and change that one thing and give yourself a time limit. I mean, you're not, I wouldn't say, do it all at one time. I'm going to give up sweets, meat, and this, that, and the third thing all at once. It does not work like that.
No, it does not at all. For me, I love bread. And so I know that because I love bread, what I did was I also buy the tiny little crackers and the small little rolls, right? So I go to my Jewish bakery and they make these tiny little rolls. Really, they're small. And so I get that. And I may eat one or I may eat two during the morning, and if I eat another one, it's going to be early, but I won't eat it late at night. So that, that was my way. Instead of eating all the carbs all the way through the night, we know. And for me, like I love certain sweets. I'll buy the ice cream and I literally have 3 spoons and that's it for a day or even a week. But I didn't just get there. I just started by cutting down on the days. And so now if I feel for that, I will take it, I'll eat it, and I really don't even go back for anymore. I just don't. So, but it's a discipline. And when we discipline ourselves like that, it becomes a habit. And once it becomes a habit, it's your way of living.
And exactly. That's what I tell my patients when I want them to get up and move. I'm not telling you to go walk a mile and we just started it. If you're a TV watcher, after your program goes off, walk from one end to the house to the next. Come back, sit down. Then after that becomes easy, in between the commercials, you walk. You have to build up. It's a process.
It is a process. So, I want to thank you for sharing these pointers, sharing, about your life story. And just so folks can see that, it didn't just happen to you when you became an adult, but it happened to you, when you were a child and then as a young adult even, but you went on to be productive, you got married, you're a mother, you became, a wife, a mother, you're an educator, and your career is moving. And that's not the limit for her, folks.
There's some other things I want to do.
And as you heard her say, she bikes, she cycles, she roller skates, so you can be active. When things happen in life, that's not the end all be all. We can be active no matter what happens to us in life. I remembered when I got ill and I couldn't move, and even when I had to learn to walk. And my therapist, the first thing she did, I had a physical therapist and an occupational therapist. And the first thing she did was to have me roll my feet just to get them, because we don't think of this, that listen, I wasn't walking for a whole year. Like I wasn't moving for what am I talking about, a whole year, almost a year and a half. So my feet probably didn't know what to do with themselves. And as I did the roll, I felt my legs getting stronger. Because the first time they had me stand up and try to walk, my legs felt so wobbly. I was like, wait, what are these? on the neat
Felt
meat.
like noodles.
Felt like noodles. But as I sat there and I did the roll, roll on it looks like a hard noodle. I don't know what it's called, but it's a circular thing. It's long like a noodle, and they put it on the floor, and so I just did that. And then my legs felt stronger. I was able to stand a little longer. I was able to walk a little further. So it was just at one point from the bed to the wheelchair. And before you know it, I could go around the whole downstairs, and glory to God, I can run again.
Right.
Yeah. But I wanted to bring this, to this platform and to encourage anyone who's going through any kind of difficulty in your life to not give up, never give up hope. There's always hope. And as Dr. Renee said, take one thing. If you can get up, if you can sit up, if you can just move to the bathroom, just take one action at a time. My son talked about that yesterday. One actionable item on your list. Take that, deal with that. When you've accomplished that, you check that off your list and you can move on to something else. And, I do pray and hope that you don't have to lose any part of your body. But if you do, know that there are reputable firms out there. Also, make sure you have good insurance, and, we do need some help and within certain communities, we need the help. So if we can advocate for others, those who can do. And this is what we're doing right now. So thank you, Dr. Jones,
Thank
for
you.
joining us tonight on this showcase. And we look forward to who will be on the next showcase. I don't know, but thank you. And
thank you.
Have a wonderful evening.
You
Thank
too.
you for
Take care.
and for caring. Good night. Good
Good
night,
night.
everyone.